Fake HOA cops target fat black man's family, unaware he is a Delta Force commander. It started like any other evening in the neighborhood. The sun was dipping low, casting long shadows across the quiet street. But Garrett Lomax felt it in his gut. Something wasn't right. A silver SUV slowed to a stop in front of his driveway, its engine humming like a quiet threat. 3 men stepped out in matching black polos and tactical belts, each one carrying a cheap laminated badge that looked official from a distance. To anyone else, they might have passed for real officers. But Garrett wasn't anyone else. The tallest man walked forward with a practiced smirk. "Mr. Lomax, we need to talk about that vehicle," he said. Garrett set down the tools in his hand and turned toward the old pickup truck behind him. Inside, Shanice was helping their daughter with homework while their son played basketball down the street. This was their home, their safe place, but these men had brought something dark to the doorstep. Garrett's calm voice cut through the silence. "What about it?" The man held up his fake badge like a shield. "It violates community standards." Garrett didn't need more than a second to spot the lies. There was no county seal, no city stamp, just a cheap design made to look intimidating. "Since when does the HOA decide what people can drive?" he asked. "Trucks like that don't belong in a community like this," the man replied with a smug grin. Garrett had heard that tone before. It was the sound of power pretending to be law. Shanice stepped out onto the porch, tea in hand, calm but sharp. "Safety? From a pickup truck," she said. The men laughed, but Garrett didn't flinch. He studied their body language, their shoes, their car. Every small detail told him one thing. These weren't just bullies. This was an organized intimidation play. One of the men leaned in with a warning. "We'll be back." Then they climbed into their SUV and drove off. But Garrett knew the truth. They weren't making a threat. They were making a promise. That night, the dinner table was quieter than usual. Leona looked up from her plate, confused. "Daddy, why did those men sound like they were in charge if they weren't real officers?" Garrett gave her a steady look. "Because that's what bullies do," he said. "They pretend they have power so no one questions them." Bryson frowned. "So, they're criminals?" Garrett nodded. "Organized ones, and people like them. Don't just knock once." 2 days later, the silver SUV returned. This time, they didn't even pretend. They blocked the driveway and swaggered up to Shanice with clipboards and smirks. "We told your husband about the violations. Nothing's changed," the leader said. "Because your authority means nothing," Shanice shot back. Garrett stepped outside, his voice calm but heavy with quiet strength. "You really need better props," he said, pointing at their fake clipboard seal. "That's from a stock image site." For the first time, their confidence cracked. They left quickly, but Garrett knew they'd be back. The neighbors had seen it all. Curtains twitched, windows cracked open. But no one said a word. It wasn't because they didn't care. It was because they were scared. Bullies thrived in silence, and this neighborhood had given them plenty of it. The nights that followed were no longer quiet. The Explorer circled the block again and again, headlights sweeping across Garrett's house like a warning. Cameras went up. Notes were taken. Every move was logged. Garrett had faced real enemies before, people who used fear as a weapon. This was no different. A call to an old friend confirmed what he already suspected. The men were part of a property scam, an intimidation crew forcing families to sell their homes cheap. "You're not their first target," Detective Renner said. Garrett's jaw tightened. Then they picked the wrong one. The next escalation came on a Wednesday afternoon. Clipboard's crew cornered Shanice alone in the driveway. "Families like yours never last long here," one of them sneered. But before they could say more, Garrett's truck turned the corner. He stepped out slowly, the air around him shifting. "You corner my wife and call that a reminder?" His voice was low, steady, dangerous. "You've got 10 seconds to get off my property." They backed away, But their eyes said everything. They weren't done. By now, the entire neighborhood was watching. No one helped, no one spoke, but everyone saw. Garrett didn't need their voices, he needed their silence documented. He knew the game. Bullies escalate when ignored. So he prepared for the storm. Cameras, motion sensors, evidence folders. Every detail was ready. The explorer parked 3 houses down. Clipboard called out, trying to sound tough. "We make examples." Garrett didn't even blink. "Then make me the example," he said. The SUV roared away again, but this time Garrett wasn't just defending. He was hunting. The Lomax house was no longer just a home. It had become a fortress, and when those men returned, they wouldn't be facing an ordinary family. They'd be facing a man who'd spent 2 decades bringing down networks bigger and smarter than them. This wasn't just about a truck. It wasn't about an HOA. It was about fear, and what happens when someone finally refuses to bow to it. The neighborhood had been silent for too long, but soon silence would witness something it couldn't ignore. They came to intimidate, but they picked the wrong house.